Get to know all your favorite VRChat DJs all in one place. This is VRCDJLIVE.
You know, it is Thursday time, and you know what that means. It is back to VRCDJLIVE, of course. Glad to have everybody here on the program. And it's fun enough because of the fact that, like, occasionally when we take some extra time off, we always be like, oh, we have to go do another episode, and we get really excited about it. But at the same time, it's just, that's just it. It's like when it is time for us to sit down with our special guests and kind of talk a little bit about what we've got going on in the rave scene, it always starts off of just like, oh, we're back at it again. But two, it's very exciting. We get back into it and we start talking to a lot of people, and once we start getting into things within the hour, it's going to start to really ramp up. We got a lot to talk about here on the program. But welcome on in to VRC DJ Live. I'm Rob Roman, your host, and if you're brand new to the program, we talk to everybody here in the VRChat DJ scene, from DJs to club owners to community rave members to promoters to and even a lot of our community members to begin with, because while we can just be hosting an actual live DJ event, we love to get our feedback from the community members. And our guest today is, I would say, a community member plus, I guess. I mean, like, not only have you been in VRChat for a very long time, but you also have the secret side of being the Rave Director of MomoCon. And usually we have some really fun things to talk about, little fun anecdotes about our guest today, but we're going to leave it up to your hands. You be able to tell us all the fun things that you've got going on. So please welcome to the VRC DJ Live studios, BrotherWhiteMage.
Good to be here.
Glad to have
Thanks
you
for
here.
inviting me, of course.
Yeah, and you know, it's really strange because of the fact that, like, I think a lot of people, they recognize you in here. You've been a part of the community for such a long time. And one of the things that is really difficult from time to time in VRChat is we don't get to recognize the things that we have going on outside of the rave scene or even in VRChat alone. So just for the fact that you were able to come in here and talk a little bit about your experience as the Rave Director of MomoCon is exceptionally. I guess that's the term. That's not really the term. I don't really know what I'm saying. Yeah, but at the same time too, is like we don't talk about the things that we do outside of VRChat. So you know, for starters, do you think people will be really impressed about this role or surprised? I mean, how many people know that you do this outside of VRChat?
In VRChat, I am pretty honest about it, both IRL and even my own day job, as well as being here. It's not like I'm using it like behold, here's my armor, you know, worship me before I do stuff. It's just more of a, I have this unique ability and I got this really cool gig where, yes, it's volunteer because we don't get paid for it, but it's just volunteer experience, and I get to do something really cool, and I get to vibrate a building for 4 to 8 hours, depending what they'll allow me to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting too, because like out of all the different professionals that we've had in VRChat, either performing or visiting, or even let's just say that people are talking about VRChat or the rave scene alone on social media or on YouTube or something like that, we do occasionally get some professionals in here, and they kind of go under a pseudonym or something, a different type of name, so that way they don't get called out or anything like that. But it's interesting to see how you're able to be humble about it and not draw, like, it's not like you walk up into one of the rave events and you're just like, impress me, you know, like, like, I'm really glad that you're kind of on a lower level about that, but at the same time too, you're super interested in the VRChat rave scene in general.
Yeah, because when I came to VRChat, I was 35. I got here in March 2018, and I was desktop running around, and I found Dirty Dancers at the time, and that's where I met a bunch of other people, including like Virgo was part of that group originally. And I was like, this is awesome, because the problem with going to raves in Atlanta is I don't do any of the drugs because the normal day job stuff, I just don't want to touch it. Most people are focused on that. People are trying to get money out of me. People are trying to think I'm security. The funniest stories I ever had is I'm talking to a bunch of other black guys, including myself, we're all wearing some kind of black, and a young 18-year-old comes up to us and goes, "My boyfriend stole my shoes," and we're looking like, "What the? Oh, we look like we're security." No, we're just hanging around talking. So it's not that I don't want to be out there. It's just I'm there for the music, and it's a lot easier when I can have my alcohol in front of me, enjoy my time. My bathroom's cleaner than anywhere I'm going to go out in Atlanta, and I can control the sound. I can drown people out, or I can have a giant conversation. I have control of the sound. It's just easier in a way.
I'm not gonna say.
Plus no Ubering.
I'm also not gonna say that there will be there. Well, there's no opportunities to be able to see what you look like when you're raving at one of these events in real time. I got to experience that. We'll talk a little bit about it, but not so much. But like,
I'm so out of practice.
There's a point in time where it's just like, you have a role to fill. You're up there, you're doing your thing, and you're being professional about it. But then the next minute, once everything is kind of going your way, the next thing I know, I turn to the stage, and you're up on the stage with your glow sticks, kind of doing the thing, and I'm like, look at this dude, he's got all these moves. But like, have you always kind of intended it that way?
Not well. So the thing is that my first rave was I want to say I was 16, Tabernacle, in the 90s, and I started to learn there how to do glow sticking, which is essentially putting the glow stick, there we go, put the glow stick right here, and then do stuff from there. You've seen me do it during some of your stuff, and I know machines see me do it. The problem is that when I start, someone always interrupts me or something happens, or like the index controllers, which is a problem I need to figure out how to fix, is it will let go of stuff occasionally, depending on how fast I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've taught people over the years in VR how to do my version of glow sticking, which is a combination of helicopter and the figure 8, and then going from there. So,
I mean, that's still oddly impressive too, just because again, you have a lot of kids that come in here. We talk about it from time to time about like club etiquette in VR chat, which I think if we run out of things to talk about, it'll be really fun to kind of open up that box a little bit, especially because I would assume, like you just said, you have tons of experience of like going to clubs and going to raves and again, like, I don't want to even just open the box over the fact that, like, I would assume that you've done your research over the years of how you can make the glow sticking even better or more comfortable, or the latest technologies in glow sticks. I mean, because, compared to, like, I'm going to crack open a glow stick and drink it like Mountain Dew, which I don't recommend. Don't do that at home.
No,
but yeah. But at the same time, too, I mean, like, I don't know, depending on what's available online, that it's gotten a little bit more comfortable to be able to do that.
The videos that do my style are really old. Most of the stuff you see will be poi. So taking the glowy thing and putting a string on it, I can't do that. I got friends who are really good at doing that. The problem is I'll either hit down south or hit my head, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So, well, but other people are really good at it. There's people that got the whips. I've seen somebody with a freaking nunchucks, and I'm watching going, he's not hurting himself. All right, roll with it.
What's your kind of opinion about like, you got the people that go to the raves, they have those glowy balls and on the string, and they're doing that, or the glow stick. I'm trying to think of some other things that other people do too.
The glow whip is pretty common now.
Yeah, with the one that looks like fire or something.
Yeah. Or the Jedi floating thing, and it's like a magic trick they do, and I've seen it in the past 10 years.
Do you think that's going to catch on, or do you think that it's just one of those things that some people, it's either you know how to do it, or you've had practice in it, or you're just going to watch from the side because it's really mesmerizing?
Well, some people always be watching because people take stuff. It happens. Keep them entertained. They'll be fine. They had a good time. People learning. If people want to learn, they'll usually go hunt down the people, and once they're done, they'll start talking to figure out how to do it. So, I taught myself at a young age. So, well, I say young generally. I'm now 42.
Yeah, I mean, you're still doing it though. That's the thing. Like that's
I know, but I hear my joints creaking when I'm doing it too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want it to be like
where it is. Pretty much.
I mean, at the same time, you got to practice. But of course, it's VRCDJLIVE. Glad to have everybody here in chat, and we got a lot of people coming in and chat and just chiming in. We were talking a little bit about your sitting position, and that's what they're just like. Oh, you look very uncomfortable, but at the same time, I mean, you're leaning, and it's fine. You know, you're.
Yeah, I can't really fix that, but I tried.
Yeah, and that's
It's
okay.
been a constant problem with my full body.
I mean, as long as you're
My
comfortable.
legs work.
Yeah, as long as you're comfortable with it, then that's totally fine. But of course, in VRC DJ Live, it's a live show, and we're here with Mage for a couple hours, and we're going to be talking a lot about his role in the Rave Director scene at MomoCon. We talk a lot about MomoCon, especially because it just happened just a few months ago. But we're also going to be breaking down in the next couple hours a lot of his opinions and a lot of things that he's been experiencing within the scene. Because again, one of the coolest things about Mage, and we're going to break down your name too, because I know that you said you have a very fun story about your name. Yep. But the one thing about that's really neat about Mage is just like, this is the opportunity, man. Like, if you've had so many people in our scene that are just like, oh, how do I get famous? How do I get recognized? What do I need to do? And funny enough, we were even talking earlier this week about the whole Instagram thing, about like everybody kind of fell off the bandwagon with Instagram for a very long time because of Facebook. But like, I was trying to cover my mouth and I was smacking my head. But that's the thing though too, is just like in the industry, people are constantly looking into Instagram. It's not even just a TikTok thing, but like social media itself has just been a jumbled mess in the past couple of months and stuff like that. But this is the time to be able to kind of like ask the questions. You've seen a lot of the different things from MomoCon as well as the attendees compared to the people that are proactive in the rave and going to the rave and what they're looking for. So like this is kind of the time to be able to ask those types of questions. And I'm not saying that we're going to be going on the other side of convention either. Like, I don't want to say that there's some conventions coming up, but like, I feel like a majority of the convention and convention planning happens at the beginning of the year. No?
Yeah. Well, it all depends on the convention. For me, the day after Dragon Con last year was my go time. I got the email and I started going through everything. So
that's, I mean,
but I'm at the behest of the co-chairs. So.
But I mean, even that too, like for a lot of people that want to start performing, it's daunting. And I would like to kind of know why, if you could tell us, but like most conventions, when you apply to DJ for, it usually have to do that like 5 or 6 months ahead of time. Is there a particular reason for that?
That's just because, especially for larger conventions, there's so much going on. Like Dragon Con has astronomical amount of stuff going on. And MomoCon, we have our own, we have a lot of directors, but everything's got to go through the 2 co-chairs and their staff. So it's just trying to spin 40,000 plates. And I'm pretty sure for any convention of any decent size, you're going to have that problem.
So, I mean, when somebody applies, and I would assume you have to kind of take a look at that, but you also have to kind of, you have a bunch of other people that you work under that you have to talk and kind of let them know all of the different things that you've come across, as far as that's concerned?
Thankfully for picking of the DJs, the only person I answer to is the co-chairs, and they'll divvy out what they need to from there. So, but everyone sees the emails and everyone supports the co-chairs, but they're the ones who signs the checks and figure it out about. So it's an easy going up too. It's just, but every convention runs different. So there might be a committee at another convention I don't entirely know, or in like against a Dragon Con, because everything is a track and then each track is its own mini convention. The problem then is, which track do you talk to DJ for their rave, or what if they even have one, or what they want.
And it's tricky too. We were talking a little idly at the beginning of the week about Atlanta itself, and we've kind of briskly talked a little bit about it on some of the guests that we've had in here, even before Ferality, because Ferality was a really big thing in VRChat. But for those people that don't know on the East Coast, Atlanta, I don't want to say is just a mech of like everything going on, but like conventions. There's tons of conventions in general happening, or a mecca, if that's the, I don't know if the actual
that's the term.
Yeah, the terminology.
I mean, if you want to get into robot Shinji, but yeah, mecca is the word.
I'm not even a part of, like, as soon as I start talking about it, they're gonna be like, oh, he's gonna want to talk about that. I'm like, no, I don't know anything. I'm sorry. It's like trying to learn Japanese. You only know a couple of phrases. But at the same time, too, like, again, in Atlanta itself, it always seems like there could be some sort of an anime pop culture something going on. And for the people that are proactive about MomoCon, they people already know that there's a difference between MomoCon, DragonCon. We just recently had Furry Weekend Atlanta. You were talking about another convention, another anime type of convention happening in Atlanta too.
Yeah, so my first convention was Anime Week in Atlanta, and I was at number 5. And I want to say it was in the 90s, and that's when, because mind you, back in my section for the 90s, internet would just started where people were making AMVs using tapes like VHS tapes and all that stuff. I walk in there with some of my friends at our first convention, and we go, "Holy shit, we're not alone!" So that's my body. Yeah, my body's flipping out again. I can't help that, but all. Might just turn my mind had turned a full body off. Maybe that'll work. But the fact that I'm not alone, and then I started staffing that convention. Things that we had some friends from college, and then I eventually migrated to MomoCon, and I'm staffing both. But the first rave I ever did any like running for was Anime Week in Atlanta. I'm still forgetting the year, but the my more or less a senpai for doing that stuff, DJ Optimus, he had quit to do the right thing as an adult to take care of not necessarily his kid, but he was the surrogate father for the kid. So he was doing the right thing, but he had to quit to take care of that and do the right thing. And I had messaged the CEO saying, "What are you gonna do for the rave?" And he's like, "Why?" "Because I care." And so then I got to run it for a bit until they found somebody else to take over. And that's how I learned what you saw me do at MomoCon 10 plus years later. So eventually a number of people were trying to get me to go staff MomoCon 10 plus years ago. And I eventually went, and when I got there, I already knew half of everybody because half of them were from Anime Week in Atlanta. In some way, shape, or form. Some still staff, some didn't. Times. There's always stuff that changed with people, kids, marriage, all this other stuff. So the fact that I found like the people like, I wonder what happened to these guys, and like, oh, here you are. And so then that's how I joined, and I became eventually director. So
I kind of feel like the convention scene is almost as similar as doing stuff in virtual reality too, because in VRChat, it happens to be that we're just a bunch of passionate people that want to collectively get together and just do some fun stuff, and then later on down the road we get to meet even more people that will help us with our progresses about how we want to go as far as directing or being on staff or doing a lot more with that. And it's kind of a weird connection, like a parallel connection between what we proactively want to do as DJs in the convention scene, but also the people that are on staff that are passionate of the things that they want to do. When you first started, and here's the other part I'm gonna throw a little bit of a wrench in there. When you first started with the Anime Weekend Atlanta, what was the size of the attendees for that compared to like something like MomoCon now?
Oh God, I can't remember those numbers. I know that the room we had in the not Calgary, yeah, in Calgary Center was Hall A, which was it's a very long hall. I think the numbers I was told was anywhere between 3,000 to 3,500 just in the rave. I can't remember the numbers for the full con because it's been so long. The only thing I can remember is like the last year's number for MomoCon or this year's number for MomoCon, but the actual attendee number I don't have sadly on hand. But I mean, all the conventions have grown. That's been kind of the main focus for, well, not main, but it's always been growing and growing and growing. It's just depending on people have money, people are free, people have the time and energy to do the convention stuff. So it's all pretty fluid. Also, some people are really obsessed with the guests. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, for my experience at MomoCon the past couple of years, it's always been like you have the really dedicated cosplayers and the people that are feeding into the pop culture, but then you have some just like average families that want to dress up as superheroes and then they want to go do a superhero thing. Are you finding more superhero families coming to the conventions, or are you just seeing because of the pop culture aspect of it with popular shows or popular animes coming in? What ratio do you see more of?
For me, the family thing has never really gone away, but the quality of cosplays from the 90s, because you can find videos of that from like old convention stuff, compared to now, the quality is astronomical. I mean, there's a reason why people are using cosplayers to do stuff for movies. And I memory serves the Mandalorian TV show
Hmm.
had 501st cosplayers be the stormtroopers because they had a freaking armor. I mean, they were ready to go, and they were. I saw a lot more of them at Dragon Con before COVID. Now maybe not so much, but there was a large amount of them, and they came from everywhere.
It's wild too, because to even think about, like, from a more technical aspect of things, it's just like you have people that are cosplaying, and you're like, oh, they're dressing up as a sexy cosplay, or oh, they're just they're doing it for the fandom, and they're meeting up with other people that I don't want to call them nerds, but at the same time, I love calling them nerds because it's kind of what everybody is. We're all nerding out.
Nerds, freak geeks.
Yeah,
weird.
They're all enjoying that sort of thing. But that too is just like on another business level. And I actually got to notice it once when I was at Central Park in New York during the summertime. You'll get the photography students from college and the fashion students from another college, and they'll all meet up. And then the photography people will use the fashion people for pictures. The fashion people will pose for the pictures, and then they'll just like exchange cards and stuff. And I feel like most of the conventions, I feel like MomoCon does that a lot anyway compared to any other convention, because I've been seeing I would say the only other convention out there that could deliver the sheer mass of cosplaying, you got your Anime NYC, you've got your Anime Expo, and you got a ton of people that go there and they try to win those awards for like the best cosplay or something like that. But MomoCon and like the southeast of the country is really killing it when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, MomoCon's cosplay has always been fantastic because I see it grow. The only time where I have not seen everything though is Dragon Con, but it's only because it's the sheer size of Dragon Con, because it's 5 hotels, 9 square blocks, and people like the whole cult of the carpet. I didn't understand that the Marriott carpet cult until I took a picture of the guy. See, it looked like he made his own camo. But then I get home and I see an aerial photo of the thing, and he's matching the carpet inside the Marriott, which is the blue with the red and yellow stripes. I think you remember seeing Twin Swords. I think you had the jacket of that.
Yes.
That's all reference from that madness. I went, oh, that's what that is. But there's also stuff at least in MomoCon's case, we do have a more central location with Hall B, although we're getting Hall B and Hall A this year. That's already been announced, so I'm not breaking any rules there. And have connectors underneath. I'm not sure which floors. I've not seen those doors yet, but I gotta go through some meetings to see those. Hopefully,
I like seeing the Pikachu lady who dressed up as a Pikachu.
Oh yeah, she comes. I think she's at every convention, at least the 3 I go to. So, but she's been constant.
And being able to go to the MomoCon too, and this is kind of the plug for it, is to be able to go and explore this, but this is kind of also the reasoning why we're bringing this up currently on VRCDJLIVE, is because we'll talk a little bit about it too, because I want to be able to break down some other things about you besides the fact that you're doing this thing. You're doing some awesome things in VRChat as well, but like you were able to bring me into the rave this year to be able to experience it and understand it. And one of the big topics that I want to be able to address with you while we're on the show is understanding the lineup, how you have to get the lineup, the process that you have to get the lineup, and one of the reasoning why there's not enough availability to your liking, because you're only a limited certain amount of people that are performing for the convention compared to the sheer mass of what you're looking to get, even compared to some of the other conventions that are kind of going on. So, and being able to break all of that down to the people that are in VRChat that are looking for their next move, whether it be like festivals or clubs or bars or even the convention circuit, it's something that people should genuinely get to know a little bit about better, outside of, oh, I don't know who to contact, I don't know who to talk to. So we're going to try to dive into that, of course. And everyone in chat is talking about the 501s, obviously, because they're always at the convention, the stormtroopers.
Oh yeah, Fable first.
Yeah, that they're always there, but they're always looking very good too. They come out in sheer masses. I know we have a like-minded friend, Slade the Cat. Slade the Cat helps out with
Yeah.
the Daleks, so he hangs out with all the Daleks
that
too.
guy takes a bunch of pictures for like groups all over, like Rizumu. So what remember how I brought up Dirty Dancers before? Dirty Dancers eventually died off, and actually there's a picture of me and a number of people still in that world, if it's still alive, for Dancer of the Week. But Rizumu came out from that, and that's where I kept seeing Slade until I eventually had to not go to that anymore. Not because of Rizumu's fault, but the VR people who looked up to me kept having seizures, and it's not anyone else's fault. I need to save them so they don't have that problem, and then still give them advice. So then it's kind of I have to adult, essentially, is the thing.
Yeah, and I want to lean into this a little bit more too. And I know originally I was going to ask you about BrotherWhiteMage, because you were saying that there was a little bit of a story behind it even before we get into VRChat stuff. So I would only assume from what I've learned about Final Fantasy that WhiteMage is like, right? Isn't he like the top-notch wizard guy?
The idea for the WhiteMage is the heal or the cast holy. The reason I have this name as BrotherWhiteMage is so I graduated, I had spent 2 years at one college and switched colleges, and I eventually took over the anime club down there when I was at that second college. When I got there was 10 people. When I left, we had 200 unconfirmed, because I couldn't run stuff every single day, and so I was more or less a shadow emperor, if you will. But the club grew so much, the SGA was scared of me. The dean of the college knew me by my actual name. The thing is, I was the vice president. I wasn't the president. But the reason the name came out there was during that, it was cold. I only had one jacket because college, so I put on the off-white jacket and I walk in there. And during the meetings, I would run it like a church. So it's saying, "We are gathered here today for the big eyes and the small mouth of anime. Blessed be thy name." And it just ran off, or whatever I could think of, just rolled with it. So eventually, the crowd of those 40 saw, it's like, he's a white mage, and then but he's black. I'm like, BrotherWhiteMage, and the name stuck. I've been using that since then, so that those 40 people can find me no matter where the hell I am. So that's why just about everything I had. There's some games I can't. When I joined VRChat in 2018 was the Uganda Knuckle madness. But the problem is when I see brother in the name, people start attacking me and crashing me, so I had to take it out of my name. That's why.
I mean, that's good to know about that too, because it's I don't know, like, we're so far away from the whole Uganda Knuckle thing. But I don't. If you wanted to take a moment to try to figure out your hip thing, you could totally do that too. Because I know everyone at home is just like, we just want to, just kind of reevaluate you a little bit. But yeah, that's the thing though. Is just like the Uganda Knuckles thing has been so far distance from where we're supposed to be, lest somebody is deciding to make a VRChat kind of biopic about everything that has happened in here. But also, too, is just getting an understanding of where people are coming from in this, and being a part of VRChat alone, and even being able to integrate everything that we've been doing in here. Even with Dirty Dancers and Rizumu, too, of understanding the rave scene and stuff like that. Before we even get into that, it's been ticking in my brain a little bit. That looks good. You're looking pretty good. Look, this is kind of proper.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, let me know.
I'm just going to zoom in a little bit there. You look a lot proper now.
Yeah. Full body is such a pain.
How and when did you start to anime?
What do you mean? Oh, get into anime?
Yeah.
That would be, oh man. Earliest memory is gonna say 5. Macross, do you remember Low was on TV? I know that now. I didn't know it back then, but I saw Macross, aka Robotech. This is the movie one. So having Transformers, but you can pilot them, was like, this is dope as hell. Well, how do I find more about this? The problem is no internet, no nothing. I got lucky to find anything. Eventually, the Robotech TV show popped up. I grew up with that for a while before it disappeared, and I was starving to find anything. I got really lucky to not even Blockbuster. It was before Blockbuster. The rental place near me had some Robotech tapes in English, so I watched those. They would rent those. I didn't know it was anime. I thought this is cool animation, like Thundercats or Voltron. Take your pick. because for me, those none of that was considered anime because we didn't know any better. It was like, hey, cool TV show, go.
Cartoons, yeah.
Or I want the toys, yeah, or buy the toys like He-Man, everything else like that, or Silverhawk. I'll even bringing that up. It wasn't until and then it was hard to find until Toonami put out Robotech. I went, there it is. So I'm not crazy. So me and my friends were all watching that. And we've been massive fans for Robotech since then, and that's how all this started. Eventually, we found out more and more stuff. We found the House of Anime. That just dates me for how I think it's still alive, but we found a House of Anime, and we were trading tapes of stuff. I remember watching Roshin Girl Utena in my first year of high school on tapes in the high school. Or the End of Ava movie, which now I can say is the first End of Ava movie. Mm-hmm. Ava's a whole different madness on that one, but that's really where I started. And then one of the friends who realized we liked anime was like, "Here, there's a convention." And like, convention, what's that? And that's how I got to Anime Week in Atlanta 5.
So did any of that inspire you to do any cosplaying at any given time?
You know, I was wondering if you were going to ask me that. Honestly, no, it's fine. For me, I was just glad to be around my people, and my thing has always been dress comfortably. Like for example, you've seen my parachute pants that I wear during conventions, but I wear a dress shirt. So that way, you know, half party, half business. But it's also really hot here in Atlanta. So like and even my friends and my coworkers and everyone else I deal with, if it's above 40 degrees, I don't need a coat. So I just walk around. They're like, "Are you cold?" I'm like, "Nah." But during college, it's great because they're like, "Oh, you're not cold? Let me hug you." Like, "Yes, ladies, hug me. Thank you. Thank you." Take my warmth, please. So
I mean, even walking around MomoCon too, like you don't want to be caught dressed up like the kind of the suit that you're wearing right now, because like there's always, there's always some sort of importance to that too. And I'm not saying that your role is not important, but at the same time, you know, it's only one step to have the ladies on you, but then the second step of them just being like, "How do I get front row of the rave? Ooh, you get to hang out with the DJs. How cool!" And then you're just like the middle guy again.
Oh yeah. Well, thankfully I don't have that specific problem because and I make sure that I'm alone when I do meet those guests, or in case some of them if they're at the bar. But cuz they just flew in and I get that. But I've never really had that specific kind of a problem. Plus there's not really a rave line. Some people want come to me for tickets, but it's like I don't control those. So I mean, even if I want some free ones, I gotta pull them out of the pool and request. And then DJU, who used to be director for the Rave department, and now that's why he closes now. I always make sure he's got his stuff. You know, make sure he tells me weeks beforehand so I can request to the co-chairs for that system for the tickets.
See, I'm glad that you're bringing up DJU as well, because I think at some point in time we'll talk about that chaos. It was chaos. That's basically it. It's like I was standing there, and I want to be able to break it down for people, because that is the funny thing about this entire interview today is like there's so many people that are either like, "Wow, that's really cool," or you put on a show and it's always bopping, everyone's having a great time, but at the same time, too, it wasn't just the lineup that was put on this year, but it was how the lineup was cultivated and how the lineup was delivered. And there was a whole intent. Well, I think there was an intention to it. And if you were to really think about it, it's genius. But at the same time, too, not too many people would proactively think about it like that, because at the same time, I'm kind of leaving the mystery to a lot of people at home right now, but we'll get into it when we do. I promise you, because it's something I really want to talk about. Before we start getting into the nitty gritty, though, is obviously we were just hearing about how you were getting into anime and getting into the fandom and the pop culture and stuff like that. Where did any of that line up for you to come into VRChat?
Well, so I found out about VRChat, like I said, with the You Got a Knuckles thing, because I saw the animation in January 2018, and I'm looking at it going, wait, this is not normal animation. Why does it feel human despite it being a Knuckles? Do you know the way? So I started digging, and I'm going, and eventually I end up, after doing a bunch of digging, into the first Chips and Nuts video. And I'm watching this thing while working, and actually doing my job. I wasn't going, no, I'm working while doing everything I need to do at my normal day job. And I'm looking at it going, holy shit, Tron is real. No one told me. Like 1982 Tron. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love 2010 Tron, but 1982 Tron. Tron's actually freaking real. Let's do some research, figure out how to do this stuff, and that's as I started really digging, and that's actually where I found out where to find the model I was looking for, because in those in doing that research, one of the people who popped up there in those videos from Chits and Nuts was Big Space. He was wearing a model called Eisen, and that is from Tales of Berseria, not modified at all. But I was like, I know that model. If that character's in here, and he's one of the 6 characters you have in our role-playing game, then other people have pulled those the rest of the characters. So I found there was a way to search VRChat worlds, an older way of doing it, and I found the world that had 4 of those models, and one of them was the first model I ever used in here, which was a Rokuro Rengetsu from Tales of Berseria. Second character you get in that RPG. Found that, so I eventually one Friday I had nothing going on. All my friends have abandoned me because they were either with their wives, with their girlfriends, taking care of kids, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? So
now at the time, did you have your headset at the time, or you were just doing?
I was full desktop. Okay. I was full desktop. I didn't even think about buying a headset because I'm like, for me mentally, I'm like, that's too much money because I'm trying to survive and just be an adult and car payment and stuff like that. Did that research, bought a bottle of whiskey, mixed it half and half, sat in front of my computer, put the headset on, or put the normal like computer headset on, not this thing, and I got in there. And so I found the world, dug through there, and I found the Rokuro model, grabbed that, which we looked later is actually kind of scuffed because there was holes, but we learned a lot about model work afterward since then with me and the friends I've made in here. Then went to the pub, that's where everybody was, and just hung out. And stuff just started going from there. That's how I eventually ran into Dirty Dancers and a whole bunch of other groups and people, and of course some of the people eventually from those videos. The first person I think I ran into was Moxie Mox and Wixel. Wixel was I guess the term because she doesn't stream anymore. Was her mod, and I the only thing I can really remember was she was looking for someone to drink with her, and I smacked my hands to make sure I could hear. And I said, "Honey, with me, you will not drink alone. Let's fucking go." And it started from there. And I'm still friends with her when she pops up here. It's always good to see her.
I was gonna say, when you came in here, were you trying to find Chips and Nuts at the same time? Like, yeah. I think a lot of everybody was. No.
I actually no. My whole thing was, and I can pick on. I'll pick on this specific story. But one of the things I like that really got me to like come in, because I was watching this stuff for the first 2 months, which was Shinikami KMI was in a Odoron model, and they looked at the camera and said, "I am 30 years old. What am I doing? And what am I doing at a bar while angel and demons are fighting?" And I'm sitting there going, "Why am I watching? This thing exists. Let me get off my ass and get in there. Mm-hmm. Let me have my own adventures." And that's one of the reasons why I respect streamers. Don't be wrong, but I can't watch for too long because then I want to do something. Like, it's one thing to watch it; it's something else to get your hands dirty. And that's what really that was the last straw that kind of pushed me in. I'm like, let me go have my adventures. Whatever happens, happens.
So when you were first in here, you kind of found your tribe because of the avatar that you were a part of, or were you just kind of just going into the Great Pug and just trying to figure out how to, get to know people?
It wasn't the model was some of it because I was a rarity, because as anyone who's been in VR or even looks at like the We Met in Virtual Reality thing, finding male models is hard. It's easier now, but they all look alike. Is problem one. But finding male models is a pain. So I looked very unique because no one knew the game. My game knowledge, thanks to my older brother, Kyoshade, and a bunch of other people growing up and college, we know about all these games. And so if people thought I was from an anime, and the character did appear in an anime, which was Tales of Zestria the X, for like 1 or 2 episodes. But even though it was anime based, like this is, because this half of this model is based from that game as well, for a different character. But it was getting that stuff and I just wanted to. I didn't feel the need to wear female models that get distracted. I'm like, I want to feel like me, even if I was only in desktop. And when I got my headset 2 months later, or I think 2 or 3 months later, it mattered, and also scared the tar out of me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did that work out for you? I mean, you were on desktop for such a long time, and then all of a sudden you're back and you got a headset now. What
Yeah.
did it kind of lock you into like VR and just because like you were already doing stuff with anime and pop culture to begin with the conventions and stuff. So where do you see? It's gonna sound like a really stupid question, but where do you see yourself in VR chat? Do you see yourself just kind of locked in for a very, very long time?
I mean, I've been here for, this is year 8, so I'd say yeah. But I mean, at least in my, well, the thing is though, is when I put the headset on, the second friend that I did in front, I put the headset on and invited the first two friends I made in VR chat, which was Avery and Maxie. And I moved my arms. Avery screamed, hugged me, and I about screamed because I didn't understand Phantom Sense until right then and there. And then, just the whole something, hug the tall old man, like, oh God, Christ on a stick.
Meanwhile, you're in your room, just like your arms are out like this, and you're crying through your headset, but it's like you're just hugging the air for the time being.
I wasn't crying. I was like, oh God, that's so weird. Because the nerves kicked in, so it took a while for that to, like, still when people walk through me, to go, because people walk straight through you and don't realize. You see them more in desktoppers, but
I think for me, it's a matter of someone's hugging you and their voice is either right behind your ear or in your ear, and you're just like, nah, I'm in my room. What are you doing here?
Well, I know some people have that issue. For me, and yeah, if you have the headset turned off, it's like it's wearing a giant heavy blindfold. But for me, the ears are working, the eyes are working. I look to my right, I'm looking to my right. This is my hand. So it always feels like I'm here in some way, shape, or form. But that's also where the mentality of when I really started going through VR and meeting whole tons of people, various streamers, small time, larger time, whatever happened. I know one of the people but the thing that really, really kicked me in this thing was I was drinking one night, we were hanging around doing whatever. One of my female friends summons me, and she says, "Mage, come here." I'm like, what's going on? And her friend, it's that friend's birthday. She is crying on the ground because her father called her for her birthday. Problem is that she has a restraining order against her father. Like, oh God. And yeah, I got down on my knees and hugged her, which is, I was half body, so didn't, floaty leg problem on that one, but that's the limit of the tech. And I had an epiphany right then and there, saying just because we're not here physically does not mean we are not here. And a lot of people, a number of people treat it like just because it's not actually in real life doesn't mean it doesn't matter. We are still people behind these things. We are still sentient. Sure, someone might be a sentient fridge, well, not fridge. Well, I guess now because of data everything, a fridge is fine. But it's still a person. And treating people with dignity and some kind of respect really matters. And that's the thing that I've been more or less preaching. Not like shove it down people's throats, but leading by example. And I think that's what really, really made people understand like why I'm here, why I enjoy being here. And yeah, this isn't my fingers, but as far as my brain goes, this is my finger. So my thumb could use some work, but a different problem.
It's kind of the same thing when people are saying that like post-con depression is a thing where like you're hanging out with your friends or you get to meet new friends at convention. And then once you leave, they're just like, oh, well, we're not going to see each other because we live in different parts of the country or we've got our real lives going on. But like after we were done, I was just like, all right, I'll see you in like 2 days. Like I'll see you back in virtual reality. It doesn't really matter. But like at the same time too, like, not everybody, well, I don't want to say not everybody can be able to experience something like this, but you can really. I mean, it's free. People can join in here at any time and then be able to make friends like that too.
Yeah, just the DLC is a little bit expensive, but you can buy used headsets. Like even a Rift CV1, you might have to get some connections for a computer, but it will still work. The Quest 2 you can buy on sale. I mean, there's a bunch of there's an army of Questies out there. That's where if you see me wear a weird model that's not my usual, it's because I'm with the Questing. Like if I'm wearing like Von Lycon from ZZZ or Komodo from the same game, it's because I'm around one of them. I'll make sure they can see me.
Right. Now the same thing kind of goes with the rave scene too. Is that we've had a lot of friends that they're just like, oh well, I live either in Europe or it's, I guess a time zone thing, or maybe even just a budget thing where they just can't be able to hang out either at convention or at festivals, and being able to create that experience in here too is super interesting. But at the same time too, for you, you're able to kind of squish together your love for anime and for music as well, and raving and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about how you're able to run into the rave scene. I would assume you were saying Dirty Dancers and Rezuma were kind of your first taste of that in here.
Yeah, those were my main focus because there was always something going on constantly. So yeah, Dirty Dancers was my first one because I realized that, that I could do the stuff in here, and plus the world was cool. It's Lumi VR was usually the DJ. We'd rotate stuff. I made friends with him. I haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully he's okay. He streamed like once, like last year, and I haven't seen him since.
As far as I know, just to give you an update for it, he has changed his life. Obviously, his father passed several years ago, so he's been trying to keep up with that. But also, too, I think he's got a new girlfriend, he's got a new job, he's got a new place. Everything's kind of new, and everything's
at least
working
you know
out.
something.
Yeah, and like I saw him stream, and not to go off to tangent on this too. I got to actually get to talk with him at TwitchCon Las Vegas in 2023. I think that's what it was. So we were able to talk a little bit about that because between me and him, we kind of have a little bit of a rivalry. It's kind of like the Ash Gary thing from Pokemon, where it's just like, who's going to be the best DJ here? And I'm just like, can we just quit this and just talk? And so he's been really cool, but he's been distancing himself because he's putting his life back on track. And like, again, he DJs too,
That's good,
but he's trying to figure it out IRL rather than in the VR scene, which kudos to him.
Yeah, because I know he's wanted to do that anyway. But but then Dirty Dancers died. Rezuma came up from that, which is hilarious because Alequim, who's running that now, and was the one who started the torch anyway from Dirty Dancers. It's a fan of DJU, so it's really, really funny.
Oh, cool.
Like, it's a small world out. Yeah, it's hilarious.
But DJU hasn't been in here, has he?
I think he's borrowing somebody's headset. I need to get a straight answer out of him, and it's kind of difficult, or my life keeps kicking me. This year's been really difficult, but that's not anyone's fault. It's probably just life. But he's either borrowing someone's headset or his roommate has it. I'm not sure which. I've been trying to get him, like, bro, come with me, but he's his own beast. Let's put it that way.
So as far as like understanding Rezumu and the rave scene in here, what were some things that kind of drove you into it? And it's gonna be kind of a well-rounded answer because it literally has been going on for the past like 5 years or so. But like, kind of give us a lowdown on what you've been able to experience within the rave scene in here, all the DJs, the experiences so far, even just leading up to this year alone.
Well, I mean, the cool thing with this, of course, being in VR, you can build whatever you want. Kurisu Mushi, his worlds, the Elysian worlds, I've been in some of them over the years, and his worlds are nuts. But he always had them up for a limited time. He would then he'd kill the world off and then make a whole new one. Like, I remember I saw a picture somewhere of the Tron one and of the Samurai Jack one, and he pops back here and there. But that man's busy making games for some of the really big VTubers. So, otherwise, it's following people and then having just crazy sets. Like, you can't have these IRL anywhere. Like, being in space or being underwater, and just having a DJ there and be able to rock out. Or I think it was I think it was RAVE was a group. It had the green power button. They would always have their rave at like a luau was surrounded by fire, so you could actually grab the fire and spin the fire around and have fun with that. So, Boxy the Cat I think was part of that. There's so many names. I'm drawing a blank. And I can just barely see them in my head. But there's it's been a lot of people. But like even you experience, some people like to get back together. Some people just trying to balance his life in general. So people come, people go. It's the same thing with conventions.
Well, I'm just thinking
So,
about like the popularity of it all. I mean, obviously, one of the things that we love to talk about here on the show is just, you know, even coming up tomorrow and Saturday, Fridays and Saturdays in VR chat are always so bogged down on the timeline with so many performers,
yeah.
clubs, brand new clubs,
so
clubs
much.
doing new things and bringing on new
Mhm.
talent and stuff. And it's not a matter of, oh my gosh, we have so many people in here with so many DJs, but it's a matter of how can we continue to promote the existence of these DJs that are wanting to come in to test the waters, maybe do good business, or obviously some of them want to perform for their friends, but I also want to believe that there's a lot of people in our community, and to be honest with it, is that you know, it's a popular thing to do right now. It's very popular to be able to come in here, and I don't want to say it's very popular to purchase a $400 console. I'm sure it's pretty easy nowadays, especially with the you could literally walk into a Guitar Center and just walk out with a 400. I'm not saying that you need to steal, you got to purchase it, but like, you know, you could literally purchase a $400 console. Yeah, don't go to Guitar Center and steal. I'm not saying that the workers are going to do anything about it, but at the same time, I don't know. But at the same time too, it's just like, that's it. Is like right now, DJing in VR is so popular, but I think a lot of people, just like creatives, like in content creators and influencers and stuff like that. I don't want to say TikTok people because anybody could do that, I'm sure. But at the same time too, anybody, if you join to be a DJ, oh, anybody can DJ as well. But that's the thing though, is just like, back in the earlier, maybe like 2020, 2019, there were only a handful of DJs, and they were doing a thing. But that type of technology seems so foreign, kind of just like if you were to get a headset and try to make a model or try to make a world or try to make something.
Mhm.
Nowadays, it just seems kind of an open format where we could just literally tell everybody and be like, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how you should be doing it, compared to trying to make it your own and make your own branding out of it. Give yourself a little bit more of an identity on it. But from what you've been seeing so far, let's just say in the past 2 years, ever since like 2024, even you see it a lot too, that like, even, I don't want to say Saturday nights in the mix, that event gets really full on a Saturday night, even comparable to the vast amount of clubs and the vast amount of, I mean, Shelter has bi-weekly stuff going on. That always gets really nuts. Compared to you, going to Rizumu and learning how to dance and learning how to be a part of that rave scene, or even stuff that you've seen IRL. Are we in the right direction? Are we going, is everything going to plan here? Or do you think it's going to be like, do you think it's just kind of a popularity thing right now?
That is a good question for me, because I know how. Because even though I don't know the key of songs, I know what to listen for when I'm hearing people mix. So I'll hear when somebody screws up. For example, when DJ Optimus, I was dancing on stage for him for some of the last years before he retired, and I would stop and I'd walk up and I'm staring at him. I hear you messing up. You're better in this. What's wrong? And I'm staring at him like, I know what you're doing. And he fixes it real quick because I can hear the beat difference.
Mhm.
So because of all them from that group, before I had control of the rave for a couple of years as an interim runner, I learned what to listen for. So if I hear anything off, I'll start staring at the DJ, going, "What are you doing? Like you're fine. You hit everything. I don't hear a single problem. Or if I do hear it, you fix it so fast that most people won't even realize. Heck." You know you're doing good as a DJ when people who don't know any better don't realize you switch songs 3 times. Because I have a couple of friends who do not know any of this stuff at all, and I would throw mixes at them. So tell me what you think. I'm like, when did it change music? I'm like, okay, we're good. But he's not music inclined at all. But he's also military, so.
Mm-hmm. So do you find with thinking like that, do you find that a lot of people, when they do come in here, it's not even just a matter of understanding that the DJ, because there's a lot of DJs, I'm going to break this down a little bit, because there's a lot of DJs that say, like, I'll talk to them after their set and be like, dude, great set. How did it go? And then almost all of the time they'll say, oh, I messed up twice. I hope nobody heard it. And I'm over here like, dude, nobody heard it. It's just all in your head.
I heard it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you heard it, but at the same time, how many people are proactively going to these type of events thinking about how many times the DJ is going to mess up compared to the amount of drinking and partying that people are constantly being in here. They don't think about that sort of stuff.
Well, most don't, but most people don't have the understanding of music that I see DJs have. And I think that's why it's that difference in understanding, because that's what I had to learn. Like half the reason I understand music is like I said, because of my friends and my senpai from Anyway in Atlanta, but also me playing Pump It Up. Like I had no music inclination at all. It's in my family. I had an entire section of family that choir sings, and I've got a cousin who plays in Carnegie Hall. But I did not really understand music until finally Pump It Up, because I have a size 15 shoe and I can't really do it on DDR pads. So I had to do the cross step to learn that. So.
And then now you're in here and you're learning all sorts of different genres. What have been some of the cool genres that you've been hearing in VRChat that you've been liking, but also some that you never thought that you would like?
Most of my genre has always been, well, growing up before I got into VRChat was trance gets older was in the 90s. Breakbeat before it became like a Florida breakbeat for that section. Drum and bass really sung for me, and that's what I've been working at my job listening to, or even driving for 20 years. So my main thing has always been drum and bass. Like when we had that, when you said you might be digging in drum and bass, I went, here's some of my favorite tracks. Let me blow up your DMs. Sorry.
No, it works. Yeah.
But the way you met Maku, the guy he took me to my first rave, and I took him to his first convention, way back 20 plus years ago. The best way to put it is, the music and he said it best. The music I like is the music you can pilot a giant robot to. Which, yeah, he's not wrong. But since then, because I'm a drum and bass head, but my best raves I've ever been to, IRL or VR, and I salute Louis on this one, because I know he does it a lot, or he was doing a lot. Where if you don't like the music at a rave, give it an hour. It should switch. Like hit a different type every single time, and that's been always my go-to. So, and that's kind of been my focus, to where, like, originally I was anti-dubstep until another director brought up the fact that at MomoCon, well, you're around here, you deal with stuff all the time, but it doesn't mean that a brand new person doesn't know any better, fresh in conventions, never heard dubstep before. I'm like, crap, you're right. So and she actually is a director of media. I think it's her title. Press. No, it's press. Sorry. Either media or press. And she gets the credit for that one. I don't want to say her name because I don't want to put her on blast. Because I don't like surprise. No. But she said that. I'm like, yeah, I got to keep exploring. So yeah, I'm not into trap or dubstep, but there's some songs I really like Rusko's Bionic Commando remix. That dubstep, I love that thing. But I can march to that all day. So
you find that most of the people that go to the raves too at like anime conventions, well, what are you finding that they're listening a lot more to? Are they trying to like connect with like the anime or video game music? I mean, I feel like that's kind of an obvious.
That's the easy obvious, because the problem is finding a decent mix for that stuff, because not all the mixes are the same. I know we had that conversation. There's some horrible remixes. Like, why does this exist? Oh, that's my body having a field day again. Oh well. There's some horrible remixes out there, sadly. The only thing I've had didn't have a really good experience from one, or not a good experience, having not a super reaction, was trance. But I think that's the new kids not knowing what trance is, but everything else they ate up. So drum and bass they love, future bass, which to me is just a rehashing of breakbeat in a way. They really do enjoy. And everything else from there, I've gotten the same reactions. Even in the case of like Rhythm, or in some of the newer stuff, like when we had Prisms on this year, the crowd ate it up. I mean, the fact that like 100 people dropped suddenly and started rowing to the music scared the tar out of me.
Yeah, that was surprising. I didn't. For the context that everyone at home was, we were there, and there was some music playing from the DJ, obviously, and we were just kind of talking and hanging out, and then the next thing you know, we're looking at the people in the front row, and there's literally like 45 to 50 people like drop to the floor, sit down
all at the same
and
time,
start rowing their boat
all at the same time.
all at the same time. And I've never seen that at a festival. I've never seen that in VR. I don't know where most of these people get their ideas from. Funny enough, at the first anime convention that I performed at, I saw a video on YouTube of people doing like a circle. It was like it wasn't really like a mosh pit. It's kind of like a mosh pit. There was like a circle rave mosh pit to the theme to Hamtaro. And I'm like, is that what people are looking to do? Is that what's popular right now?
People do whatever. People will do whatever. I mean, there's always the circles where people are dancing and like they give them a place to show off or whatever. Like that always happens.
Yeah, but that ruined me because I did the Hamtaro thing and nobody knew what that was. The kids were too young. I played it and they were looking at me like I had 5 heads.
I've never seen that before, but sadly, well, not sadly, but my second in command, Elder Panda, she eventually figured out what it was from, thanks to her man, because I actually went to security people once we got all home and said, someone give me that video of them dropping. And I'm like, cool, like what song is it? And she figured it out what it was, thanks to her husband. I forget the name, sadly. I just scroll it for days to find it. But it is a song. I'll give it to you later when I can scroll through it without having this on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to take a look at that again because at the same time, like all I have it is trapped in my memory, and I don't want to try to test that theory because with most of the conventions too. I mean, we've had this discussion too, how the Rave at MomoCon has a carpet, so like that's a thing. So if you end up running around like a toddler and you face plant, like the damage is not going to be as grand as like a basketball court or cement.
Well, okay, so this year, the past couple of years have been carpet. Previous years, we were in the bottom of the either Hall A or Hall B, and that's why like half of my job was going to the department saying, "I am sorry for the chaos I'm about to do to you." And it's because it's great to have a rave, but the problem is next door in a giant half a mile hallway, you've got people playing D&D. They can't hear anything anymore, so I feel really bad about that. So the fact that's kind of the reason why we had to separate ourselves, at least for the rave, to use the room that's far enough away to where I don't disturb everyone playing their games at 3 to 4 a.m.
Nah, see, that's entertainment. See, that's the problem. Is that I think the way you're looking at it is like you got the people that are skilled at D&D that will try to role play as they try to like storm the stage, and then it's a fight against what was it like robots and aliens. You know, like who's gonna win at the end of the day? They're all gonna run in. They're just gonna start shooting their lasers or shooting their goo and whatever they're doing, and hopefully someone will win, lest they just kind of, wave the white flag and say, okay, well, we're just going to have a good time.
Well, they wouldn't charge in because they had to go through all those people. Like, there's pictures and videos of previous years where it's just a sea of people. But it's really funny when I've got people in the crowd telling me, come crowd surf. I'm like, no, I am not crowd surfing. Like, no, I want my wallet to stay in my pocket. I'm good.
I feel that. It's VRCDJLIVE. We're sitting with BrotherWhiteMage here from MomoCon, and we're going to talk a little bit about the convention in general too, because there's a lot of people that are either West Coast kids and they haven't been able to experience it. I know for the East Coast there is a handful of conventions that I think a lot of people try to plan to go to or get to experience. I know from someone that lived in the Northeast, we've had Anime Boston, Anime NYC, just kind of hop on a train. And then for people that live in Atlanta, well, that's an obvious. It just seems like there's a convention happening every 4 or 5 months that people can get better access to. But for those people at home, kind of break down MomoCon a little bit about what it is, what type of experience that you can get out of it, and why it's so important amongst the kind of the trifecta of all the different anime conventions in Atlanta.
I'll say first off, that's the thing. It's not just anime. We have anime there, but it's animation and video games. Like we're kind of a broad stroke in that regard. There are other conventions in like Anime Atlanta to focus purely on anime. We're more broad, but not so broad to what happens with Dragon Con when you have, I forget how many tracks they have, but you can look that up. Or the guests can or the viewers can look that one up. But the idea is that like we've had Disney princesses, we've had Disney sing along. We're trying to scratch something for everybody, from like the little kids to the adults and everything in between. Because and the idea, one of the main focuses is like it's minus a few, I think 1 or 2 things. Like we're really actually family friendly. So we want to, it's great having seen the kids come in. I've been sitting at a panel and I had 2 young girls come up to me going, "Can you help us?" And I had to get, I'm 6'4". I had to get down like half my height to hear them over the loud thing to try to help them to solve their problems. So it's just, it's its own brand of chaos where people just have fun, buy stuff. The gaming, this year the gaming section was astronomical. I felt like I was walking to Evo practically. That stage is nuts. It took you a while to get there because half a mile long is half a mile long. But
I think a lot of people, when they think a little bit about the convention too, obviously the length of it is kind of the beast of being able to walk that, because not everybody has walked that much. Even just in that area alone, because you have was it Centennial Park, or is it Bicentennial Park? Was it one of those two?
Centennial Park is is northeast of there. So sorry, map in my head.
I'm sorry, Olympic Park. Is that what it's called? Olympic Park? The one across
Centennial Olympic Park.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so
that's the full name.
So you get a lot of people when they congregate in that area. It's not just for that convention too. They've got that entire Olympic Park. The World Coca-Cola is over there. The Georgia Aquarium is over there. There's lots of different landmarks to be able to see. The College Sports Museum is over there, I believe. And what were you saying?
Also the Ferris wheel, because you see that depending on
the Atlanta Eye. Yep. But of course, a lot of people that go to this type of convention, they they try walking it all in one day, and then the next day their legs are screaming, lest that they're sitting in the room drinking or something to try to like mask the pain a little bit. But it's kind of a no joke kind of a convention of the fact that people do go there a lot for the cosplaying. They're there. It's kind of immediacy downtown, but not downtown, where like Dragon Con would kind of take over all the different I would say city blocks. I mean, it's kind of neighboring to it, but at the same time, you're in that little area.
It's on the other side of Centennial Olympic Park. So yeah, you can stay at a Dragon Con hotel. It might take you a bit, but you can get, we did have shuttles, but you can get to MomoCon area staying at a Dragon Con hotel. So
now, as far as the rave scene is concerned, and this is where I kind of want to break it down a little bit, because for a lot of people in VR chat, despite the fact that, number one, there's a lot of people that like to party in here. There's a lot of people that like to make clubs. They like to perform. There's still a ton of people that are proactively trying to figure out how we can make that connection between all the different things that, like, if you're going to perform in here and really showcase your skills, you're going to want to do that on social media, on the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the real reality is us trying to understand how to convey 80 people cap to be a full night, and a very popular night, comparable to what you could probably get at the Rave at one of these larger conventions. MomoCon ended up celebrating 37,000 people this year. It was like a really big number.
This year for the convention was 59,222 people.
Well, there you go. So that alone, being able to just be like, listen, when you have a massive stage and a massive ballroom, where you have a big old lineup of people, like, if you're waiting in queue here, it's just literally you with like a whole bunch of people that you'll never see, unless you're in there in that same instance.
Right.
But at MomoCon, you literally have to wait for the escalators to turn on before you can kind of get up in there to do your thing, which by itself is super hype. It's super kind of, the way that they put it together is really great. But like, that's the thing, is just like, you've got a lot of people that want to get into rave culture at conventions. And I kind of want your opinion on it, because you've been able to see the transformation of how all of this is kind of being handled between what happens at convention, just regular convention, and like the exhibit hall, and tabletop gaming, and arcade gaming, and panels, and cosplay. And MomoCon provides it all in a massive scale. But also, too, I feel like you've got a little bit more of an insight of a forecast of like, well, there's a lot of liability when it comes to a rave, and understanding the attendees and what they're going to do compared to like how they party, compared to how they don't party. And there's a lot of other conventions, too, that constantly look at that liability and go, on paper, in my mind, it sounds great to have a rave, but on paper, it could be some sort of a nightmare to host. And I feel like in the past couple of years, some conventions, they're just like, well, we'd like to have a rave, but, and then most of other conventions, like, is raving at an anime convention just as strong as it was maybe 4 years ago?
I would say it is, and you're not wrong about the liability part. It is always a chance, but that really depends on the team of people who are helping you. Though I can do what I can do because of our tech department and our security department, and between the two of them, because tech, I literally go, "Hey guys, have fun," and they all look and they see me and they realize, "Oh, he's a rave guy." They all grin evilly because I get pretty much tell them turn up to 11, and then they turn up to 13, and then we vibrate the entire thing to where stuff starts turning off, like the elevators at one time. But security, because there is a safety thing, and that's the entire thing for security. You saw them out there having lights. If people were crowd surfing, they bring them down. If they're tripping out, we get them out in a wheelchair and get them out of there. Like the security team, and I'm friends with just about everybody on both of those teams. Without them, I couldn't do this. Like, and I know that, and that's why I always make sure hang out with them, thank them every single time I see them, because they're my backbone. And I mean, I see half of them at DragonCon in both sections. So
it's just something to kind of think a little bit about, and I'll continue to riff as you fix your spine, because you are starting to fold a lot more, and I'm sure a lot of people are all like, "Is he okay? Is he dying?" I'm
not, well, I mean, hip arthritis is a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but being able to sit comfortably in VR chat while looking like you're comfortable is two different things, I suppose.
Yeah.
But and we were just having a nice little conversation in chat too, saying that aside from the COVID break, yes, it's still strong. And it is. But at the same time too, we've got two different markets in here, and we're going to kind of blend this all in just a few minutes of being understanding of the popular type of culture that we have in VR chat, comparable to where people are proactively wanting to head in the future when they're DJing in VR chat space as well. You have a lot of people that want to perform the harder music. Maybe they're leaning into drum and bass. Maybe they're, I don't know, for me, without kind of digging into what I do, top 40 house. There's a big, strong market right now for disco, but you're not going to be hiring a bunch of people to play disco at an anime convention unless you have like a throwback night where you have disco and people are proactively wanting to do that. So, but that's the thing too, is just like, I think that there's a lot of promise for a lot of the people in the VR chat community. And again, we're going to kind of brainstorm this a little bit more, because you have your opinions and thoughts based on VR chat and trying to find integration into conventions like MomoCon, which again is just, it's starting to grow and people have an idea of how they want it to handle. But at the same time, it's like, it's going to be a matter of what the people of the convention want to see comparable to what you want. So when it comes to, gosh, like, I don't want to be the guy, but I'm going to be the guy. I'm sorry. The guy, I've seen a couple of regular DJs perform at these types of conventions, and they pull out standards, like standards. We're talking Superman theme. We're talking Avengers theme, Indiana Jones theme, like movie themes, because it's for the nerds. And then sometimes they'll just do like a remix of the Super Mario or
it's the easy go-to stuff.
Yeah, and
like for example, if it was like VGR, video game remixes, that's one thing. He has his own remixes for that stuff, and that's actually on his YouTube page, because he played one year at Amway Atlanta. It was a great show, but and my hip is acting weird, but I can't fix it. The thing though is that, it is some people will just play to the crowd because they know that's what they know and that's what they like. But it's the ones who really know will figure out their own way to do their own stuff. It would be the best way to put it. Like your remixes for I'll pick on the Womp Womp remix where you have Shy Lily thrown in there with I'm forgetting the other track. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting exactly what it is, but like that's a really good example. Where you come with your own ideas and you throw it into from there. So everyone's got their own taste. Yeah, there is the easy, the gimmies, but can they do it for 2 hours plus? That's a real hint.
And even understanding what is needed for these types of conventions, not to completely also throw Furry Weekend Atlanta under the bus. I got an opportunity to not only perform for the furries, but I feel like there's a lot of DJs in VR chat that haven't been able to understand what it's not furry music. It's not that. It's like what do people in the furry community like to jam to compared to what people believe they like to jam to. In reality, it's the same music. It's the same stuff that we listen to all the time. But the same thing kind of goes with, like, let's just say we have some DJs in VR chat that are looking to take their next step by not only performing music that they enjoy, but also be relevant enough to be able to play a much larger stage for these type of conventions.
Oh, in the case of the furries, so for me, well, first off, I shout out to the Atlanta furries. You guys are insane because you guys are putting this stuff on, and it's hot. But they power through. And during my entire tenure at doing conventions and Raves at conventions, I have another friends who are furry. I'll pull up on stage because I know they can dance and they will throw down. Like, they absolutely are powerhouses. But music wise, as long as the beat's good, they'll roll with it. Most of them people will. Like, anyone, like, for me, it's not the fact that they're furries or not. It's that they're dancers. You give a decent beat, they'll roll.
And like definitely in the case of, like, and it's going to be a tricky question for you to answer, because again, I think you are a man of different flavors. I think you like different things, and as well as you have an understanding of what people like to listen to as well, is comparable to what you see in VR chat and what people are performing, and how I would only assume, not everybody in VR chat is looking for their professional glow up. They're not here to go pro. But I think a lot of people also want to get a better understanding of how that works. What's the best way that VRChat DJs can showcase the things that they do in here for a potential opportunity to be able to perform something like MomoCon?
So for me personally, it doesn't matter if you're in VR or IRL. My main thing is, as long as I got like at least 20 minutes of uninterrupted, unedited video where I can hear everything and the audio isn't butts. And I can hear everything and listen to you remix. My main test is literally I play Warframe, have that on, and I will go do an infinite run or like a survival or whatever, because that turns myself off just enough to where if I hear something wrong, I will absolutely hear it and not get distracted by, like, people calling orders out. Like Mecha Break, I love the game, but if I'm running with people, I have to make calls and not just turn brain off and just run and kill things. So Warframe has actually secretly been my way of getting around and going through all the submissions I get through either the promoters or from the co-chairs or anything else like that, or even even in the internal MomoCon Discord, I say I need at least 20 minutes uninterrupted video, and you get more points if I can see your hands, because I want to make sure they're not just hitting the sync button.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know this is going to also be another complicated question, because most of the time, and we try to break this down because I feel like a lot of people don't really recognize how to, or what a good way to do it would be. Now, obviously, too, I'm not saying that people need to try to find you in VR chat and start talking your ear off about it, but at the same time, too, when it comes to a much larger stage and a much larger venue with like a lot of attendees and stuff like that, despite the fact that you need to wait maybe 5 or 6 months to apply to be a DJ somewhere else, in your eyes, what's the best way that people can approach not just you, but like other conventions that they may be interested in? Because I would only assume that for some conventions, it really does boil down to, if you go to the convention and you run into someone that is running a specific thing, but you only have a limited amount of time to be able to talk to them in real life, maybe like 2 minutes, to be able to showcase your portfolio or do your elevator pitch. What would be some really good ways some tips that you can provide people on trying to be able to showcase stuff that they do to you if you've never even heard of them before?
Stuff I've seen in the past 20 years, some people have cards, which I take those cards and I go look them up, look everything up and pull up to see what they listen to or how they mix everything. So for me, cards do work. I don't mind to come up to me in VR, but if you randomly friend me on here, if I don't know the name, it's gonna be a no. Like, I have to kind of run into you, and I'm not a hard man to find, but it all depends on when I'm on and everything else like that for here. IRL, people come to me all the time because there's always somebody like, hey, I have some ideas for the rave, and the rave's like in 24 hours. I'm like, this is not happening. So, but what some of my friends who are DJs have done is they'll go to the staff meetings. I don't know if it's going to work nowadays, but this guy did it before COVID. Stuff is, I know certain conventions might look at front down about that. The problem is trying to figure out the overall vibe, what people want to happen. But I've had DJs pop up at the staff meetings and find me, or the director at the time, DJU, because he was before me, and would talk shop. That's actually how I got involved. Funny enough, was I went to the first staff meeting I went to for MomoCon, and I found the Rave Director, and we started hashing out, going through stuff where I explained like my favorite stuff is if the sound changes every hour, we're good. And I'm a drum and bass man, but he's a happy hardcore man, as you can clearly know from listening to him for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and there's always, of course, the main email, but depending on the convention, some people might not be up for it. Some people might. Some conventions might have their own setup or a deal with certain other companies for their DJs. It all depends on what's going on. The thing I would like to do, I would like to have more stuff go on. The problem is I need dedicated staff to pull that off. And don't get me wrong, I love security, I love tech. I need people under me that don't mind being more or less raver dad or raver mom, and being there for this stuff, because I can't be everywhere. I mean, half a mile long is half a mile long, and now we're gonna have two very long not tubes, what's the term? Two very long buildings that are half a mile long connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
and
also too, like that also helps as well, and that's another really good helpful tip for a lot of people that may not understand it quite yet. I know time is always not on our side when it comes to a lot of the things that we proactively want to do in the future. You know, like if for us to get to the larger stages, you have to use your time and your skill to do the smaller shows and gain more of a following and stuff like that. But the same thing kind of goes with dedicating your time to either volunteering or being on staff for the thing that you proactively want to do. I always have learned in my lifetime that let's just say that if you enjoy eating Burger King, why aren't you not getting a job at Burger King? You know, like you're gonna get the free meals, you're gonna get the discounts. Yeah, you'll be able to eat all the fries that you want, or the burgers, or whatever's left over that people have to throw out anyway. So you're gonna be eating really well too. But the same thing goes with the conventions as well. Is like not only are you going to be able to experience how that particular convention works, but you also get to know some of the people that you know, that you can reach out to, talk to, while also presenting your materials as well. I want to be able to talk a lot about VRChat and its connectability when it comes to these kind of conventions. It's one of the major hot topics that we have been talking about in our community for the past 2 years. Also, freaking MagFest this year. Got to explore it for the very first time this year, and there's lots to discuss about that because that blew my mind. Because of the fact that I've known that MagFest was around, I always know that it sells out. But at the same time, too, if there's anything you've ever wanted to do VRChat related on the East Coast, MagFest. That's just it. Like that's where everybody's going to be hanging out. That's where all the energies are going towards during that weekend. But before we get to that, I want to be able to break down this year's rave lineup that you had during MomoCon. And what I want for you to do first is I want you to be able to tell us who was on the lineup, and the way that you designed that lineup to be, and then we'll break down the reasoning for it.
Okay, so the opening was Prisms, which was we're gonna dub the rowing guy because we both saw that and I was so scared for a second until I realized, oh, it's to the music, we're good. Then we had Layback Luke, which is absolute legend. I still can't believe we got him. Like the two of the most hyped things I think we've ever gotten would be Layback Luke over the years and Pigboard Nerds. We got Pigboard Nerds the year before COVID. I still can't believe we did either of those. It's nuts. The third was DJ Soda, and in closing is DJU, who for because he acquiesced the directorship to me, and he was the reason the Rave even exists at MomoCon. We always have him close. Plus, he is happy hardcore. He'll wear everybody out. The idea is to slowly ramp up in speed. We found that slower seems to work relative to give people a chance to bounce, and then a little faster and faster, and then turn out to 14 and wear everybody out.
And it's such an interesting concept too, and like for me going in blind, again to reiterate, Mage was able to get me into the rave, which was really kind of you to be able to do that, but it's also kind of a research learning experience anyway too, because when it comes to much larger conventions, you don't have the time to be able to talk to the director and how things are set up, because I will say I've worked 3 years as press manager for Connecticut in Connecticut. And I was working all year. I was basically just trying to get together all the different press outlets to come in and keep them in line and give them their credentials and help them out and stuff like that. So you're constantly running around doing stuff unless you're not doing that. But at the same time too, is that you don't get those opportunities to be able to ask those types of questions. So being at the Rave this year was so interesting for me because I didn't know who the lineup was. The only person that I knew that was proactively going to be at the show was Laid Back Luke, which you told me a day before, and I got really excited because I thought Laid Back Luke was going to be the closer. I thought he was going to be the guy. And then he was the second in line, and I'm like, excuse you, what? Like, who's stronger than Laid Back Luke? So when Prisms went on, Prisms was a local guy too, right? Was he from Atlanta?
Yeah.
Cool. How did you stumble upon him? It was just kind of a social media thing?
Honestly, the promoter, and because so I got the list from the promoters that the co-chairs have, and I started going through it, and that's when I judged them all, and I have a whole score system I set up for that, and explaining what type of music they're playing. And he was honestly, I figured he was local just because I'm digging through all his social media as well, which Instagram is such a pain, only because it's only like a small snippet of video, but I hunt through YouTube to find like if the thing's an hour long, I'll listen to an hour long worth of stuff, and I found an hour long video. So the videos I found of him, his crowd was having a field day. The music wasn't to my taste, but I'm like, the people like it, and they're all seem younger. All right, let's go. Like I can't find a reason to say no.
Mm-hmm. And all of this is super helpful too, especially like for people in VRChat that are looking for their ways to be able to showcase the things that they do. It's for us in here, it's not even just a matter of having 80 people in the instance. It's a matter of how the audience is carrying themselves to the music that you perform.
Right. Exactly. It's the vibe of the crowd. If the crowd's going nuts, you're good. Like for example, every time I've been to a rave, I know I'm doing a good job. Especially within the first hour, I hear ATL ho. Somebody will always start it. It might be 4 hours, it might be first hour. This case was first hour. I'm like, all right, we're good. You're never sure what the crowd's going to do, because the first year we had trance, and the crowd, some people knew what to do. The kids didn't really understand. But when it went from trance to future bass, they exploded. I'm like, okay, this works. But the problem is with the conventions is it's only once a year, at least for like my section. So I'm literally testing every single time. So it's really trying to get a litmus test, but I can only test once a year, and I have to test live. So it's like testing live code that should be in beta. It's a balance, and that thankfully my co-chairs have my back on this, and they understand the same concept, because that's the same thing I said to them when I got raised to be director. So,
and then all of that is super important too, because the life of a DJ in VRChat is tough because of the fact that you are multitasking. That's all you're doing, is you're playing the music. It's a mix between the music that you love, that you want to share, but being able to see the audience react to how you share that, compared to having someone just standing deadpan in your face and just being like, no. And you're like, all right, bet. If you want to be a jerk, then we'll figure this out. But that was the whole thing about, and it made a lot of sense too, because you had Prisms that opened up the show, and again really got the crowd all riled up and warmed up. Laid back Luke coming on the set doing his thing, and funny enough, again, interesting enough, again, legend. He's all over the place. But the fact too is that he loves to integrate those anime stylings too, or video game stylings, movie stylings, because he knows what crowd he's getting himself into. The third artist, which we were talking a little bit about back and forth, and again, more opinion from your mouth would be fantastic on this. We ended up getting this woman, DJ Soda, SODA, from South Korea, and you asked me my opinions, which I gave you my opinions. But at the same time, too, like, I think a lot of people were interested in that, despite the fact that she's got a hottie body, but also, too, that she performs the music that I would only assume that everybody could still get wild to.
Yeah, I mean, she also has, I think, 6 million followers. So, the idea was to just what can we do to just keep everything ramping up, and it's not saying like Luke shouldn't close or anything like that. It was just our main focus was the speed of the music, but also conventions, especially in Atlanta, are kind of tied to MARTA. So MARTA closes I think at 1 or 2. So we've learned to normally, a normal rave we would have the big names at the end. We have the big names in the middle, because people start ducking out, going to the train. We see that constantly happen. People would wear out. But also they run around all day at the conventions, and they can only party for so long, or they've got other things they got to deal with, or kids, or miles of other things. But but I know definitely the train system, we would see people leave at a certain point. That's why we started so early compared to most other raves that you would normally go to. That would go 6 a.m. It's not that the people can't hang, it's that eventually they're going to crash out. I'm sorry, not crash out. That means something different nowadays, but just need to sleep.
Right.
And that time, for a lot of people, is somewhere between 1 and 3. There'll still be people running around at 6 o'clock in the morning, but it's minuscule unless you're at Dragon Con. Dragon Con is 24 hours, and only lulls are between 6 and 9 a.m. because people are going to bed, getting up, or getting coffee.
I'll also say getting food at 3 a.m. in that area is nearly impossible. So
I know. Well, there's ways, but yeah, mostly it's Waffle House, sadly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is also a problem. And it's I think it's a remnant from Atlanta. Like, you couldn't even buy alcohol on Sundays until 10 years ago. So I don't know why some of the places just closed. It might be because of the 3-day weekend and people are just taking off. It's a good question. I've never figured out, but I've lived here my entire life. So I'm just kind of used to it.
But
I have backup in my bag, something like that.
This is all really good information too. And it's like, not that we need to start implementing that into VR chat in general, but
food.
Well, yeah, you're going to implement food in VR chat. Obviously, people need to eat.
It looks delicious.
It's not just a ramen thing anymore, but yeah, I understand what you mean. But like the same thing too with man, you got a lot of clubs in here, not to derail this entire thing, but we got a lot of clubs and we got a lot of events that go on in here. And the stamina of people in VR chat is just so mind blowing. The fact that people can either be in here for 12 hours at a time, raving for several hours, maybe got to hydrate, obviously, without just, drinking yourself silly, but also too, if you were to consider this type of a lineup, which we're gonna finish this off strong with DJU, but the same thing with the lineup of this is just at some point in time, if you're gonna party on a weekday or a weekend, everybody knows that there's still another party that you get to go to, and you can't just continue to burn yourself out by listening to 5 DJs in a row, standing or partying or whatever. You still have to consider sleeping or better health and well-being. Now, leading into what I was saying before was this damn show ended on Happy Hardcore, and that blew my mind a bit, because at the same time, you have a local talent of Prisms, and then you have Laid Back Luke, which I'm sure is a lot of money, and then you have DJ Soda, who's a lot of money, and then you got this stick figure looking Caucasian man with little dicky hair, curly hair, in a kimono, jumping around, and
happy. This year we sold hoppies or
Hoppies?
HAPI.
Oh,
Yeah,
news
it's
to
like
me.
large overcoats like you would see for mostly VTubers,
Okay.
Japanese VTubers. Like they
Yeah.
have jackets for that. Those things sold out. We made sure he had one that was actually part of his rider. But yeah, so DJU was the guy who made the rave department because he kept throwing raves unofficially until the co-chairs went, "All right, you come here." They pulled him in, and so he's been running since then. And I joined in. So
Because that blew my mind, the fact that I'm sitting there and the music is just pumping, and you have
oh yeah,
people in the crowd, like 2/3 of them knew what to do. The other third
Mhm.
goes, I think this music is getting a little too fast for me.
Yep. The idea is to wear people out.
And that
Ivan is happy hardcore man. Like that is his entire thing.
and it's such
And the fact,
sorry to cut you out. It's such a quirky thing to like consider in a rave scene, because I don't think a lot of conventions would think about doing it like that. I think that they would, again, like you said, save the best for last. But you're not saying that DJU isn't the best, because he's the best. He's been doing it for such a long time. But I think again, it's the silliest thing. It's kind of like putting the lights on at the end of a bar night. And they're just like, well, you have about 20 minutes to leave. You could take your time. But we're just letting you know that the lights are on, and now we all get to see how ugly we are. But at the same time, too, like, people who enjoy that type of music will stick around. The rest of them are just going to be like, all right, I realize that this music's too fast.
well, it's like that before. The idea that we've learned that has really worked is the grading of the overall speed. So we went from Prism was the slowest, then Layback Luke, then Soda, and then Ivan is just pumps the heavy hardcore out. And mind you, don't forget the fact that he brought his little cousin and their parents and his entire rave family. It's hilarious. They popped up last year, and I realized I've known the father of the kid for years through DJU. It's like, hey man, so and I first saw the kid, and I went, my brain's going, oh dear God, there's a child here. It is 2 a.m. and everything is vibrating. And I look and they got earplugs. I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, parents, are you okay with this? They go, yes. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Just have a big old party with it. And that was probably one of the best parts of it, too, is getting a better understanding of how all of that was kind of put together. But outside of just that concept, and to be really, really, well, to be serious about it, for a lot of people at home, and to kind of be able to break down the realization of this, is that I think as a rave director, you've always told me from time to time, you really want to do some sort of an integration. You want to be able to feature some new and up-and-coming artists. I think a lot of the time with the people that are going to the conventions, I think some congoers get a small bit of burnout because they go see a rave and the lineup is always just a very popular. The most popular person is always there, and you're just like, oh, so and so is always there, But in reality, you got a lot of DJs being like, when is it going to be my time? And I think as a convention director, a director at the convention, you have a lot of different hoops that you have to jump through. There's a lot of different variations based on what you want compared to what it would be good for the convention. But I think a lot of DJs need to consider the different hoops that you do have to jump through. The one thing that amazed me about this particular lineup is, just like as if you were going to have a regular event in VRChat, not everybody can be on that lineup. And the people that can't be on that lineup are a little butthurt. But for the directors and the people that have to put together the programming, it's already extremely difficult, because 4 DJs at 1 hour each is plenty IRL, with the amount of stamina that you have, especially walking through the convention, compared to how much you've had for food that day or hydration for the day. Mind you, there are water stations throughout the event that you can go and get water to.
We make sure of that.
Right. Yeah. But that's kind of the quirky thing, is like the things that you want, you still have to put together with what everybody else is looking for. And it's not a matter of you not wanting to put a specific person in the show. It is a matter of you have to put on your director pants and say, we have to have it this way because of this.
That is part of it, and that's where if I can get people who are willing to dedicate their time to being staff and doing the smaller, like, because I want to run smaller stuff as well, or have stuff go constantly. We've talked about it. The problem is trying to figure out how to pull it off. And like if you said to yourself, we're integrating VRChat and conventions. To me, other than the headset and well, other than the headset and the straps on me and then the controllers, to me, VRChat is a 24/7 convention that doesn't sleep. It's just the language might change depending where you are. So, because I've more than once I've walked into two French people screaming at each other and they didn't tell me to drink, or Aussies having a party, or Japanese people just being cute running around going hamburger, hamburger. Not that girl. I've not met that girl, but I had someone else do it when I was walking in there, suddenly trying to find somebody. But it's trying to figure out how to integrate it. It's the devil's in the details. And I need people so I can still do my job that I'm doing, but have someone or some like our group of people dedicated to making sure that we can link stuff in VR and IRL at the same time. Like you're right. MagFest does a great job at it with their stuff. And if you look at the picture they took, I'm in that picture. I'm either in there as Von Lightcon from ZZZ, or I'm in the model of Magma Dragoon from Mega Man X4. I forget which one it was, but myself and I think Twin is also in that picture. My buddy Twin Swords, who I met in here, and he actually comes to me with conventions. He'll be with me at Dragon Con. He was with me at MomoCon, not as staff, but it's the devil in the details trying to figure out how to integrate that stuff, and like at the doubles and the deals trying to figure out how to link it all together. I've been trying to figure it out, but either something happens or or my plate's full, or I'm just out of spoons because I gotta make sure all this stuff is ready to go. But I can't grab local people. I haven't found a local person to help me do that to be willing to at a convention. So I was trying to figure out that nice balance. But it's also why we talked about Neon Haven while we were at MomoCon. I got to hang down there for a little bit. So I finally found them because I was trying to find a skating rink, because I was at one of the meetings. Then when the coach here says, we're going to have a skating rink, I'm like, we're going to have a skating rink? I got to see this. Mm-hmm. So I was hunting for that, and that's why I found Neon Haven. And honestly, the tech for them is pretty impressive. But that's only for like 2D VTubers, I want to say. I didn't really see a 3D model, but when I got up there, they switched out. I got to meet Hannah Hyrule, which is hilarious because she was there IRL. But she was vocal about that. So, but Spite was getting set up. Her line was long. Because one of my buddies was waiting for that line also. So
it seems like with the VTubers too, and we're gonna quickly touch upon this because we are running a little bit out of time. But one of the things that has been very interesting about most of these conventions this year is just the fact that the VTuber scene has been growing so massively. And kind of dialing a little bit back about MagFest, how I was bringing it up this year was something that I was very interested in, and I'm still extremely very interested in. Is despite that, it's the Music and Gaming Festival. Yeah, that's what the mag part of MagFest is. And after talking to a lot of other talent that performed at that convention, they have room for everybody and have room for all sorts of different flavors and tastes based on where you want to perform and how big you want to go. If you want to perform on the corner or in an alleyway, compared to they have a club. They have a club that's attached to that entire resort, that you could perform at this club bar place, or you could perform in the arena. And depending on what type of style of performance that you put on, you're going to be able to showcase that there at that point in time. I bring it up because, again, something that I didn't really know after being in this game for literally 6 to 7 years is that the East Coast VRChat meetup happens at MagFest. Not just exclusively because, not everybody on the East Coast could travel to TwitchCon every year on the other side of the country, but also too that like it is kind of the premier showcasing of VRChat's virtual mirror, which they've been kind of implementing a little bit more. The people that run that Peppercast, they do a fantastic job. I actually got to talk with them a little bit in January about how they roll and how they do it and how they set it up. And funny enough that they partner with the VRCDN and Jazzy Senpai to be able to bring that together, which is great because again, we're all just kind of hanging out and we're doing things for each other. But for the case of conventions, in the case that people are enjoying this so much, virtual mirror is becoming such a really big thing for the future anyway, even comparable to bringing in DJs from virtual reality alone. Being able to, there was a couple of DJs that got to perform MagFest this year in one of the arenas, as well as we got together and we had our own little time slot down near the arcade, and we were just performing for each other and everybody that passed by. You know, we got to be able to have that type of an example. Now, we bring this up because MomoCon also showcasing a lot of VTubers, and we've had people like Vichiban with a bunch of people that used to do a bunch of VRChat stuff, and now they're kind of doing their own thing. Let alone, we don't even want to bring up the whole VShojo business. It's been kind of happening too. Yeah, just, you know, and I feel like there's a lot of people involved with that as well, and I'm sure VTubing is constantly changing. But just the fact alone that even the past 2 years, virtual mirror has been quite the rage, and people are genuinely interested in it, let alone Furry Weekend Atlanta and Ferality getting massive numbers. I think that they ended up getting 17,000 attendees from Furry Weekend Atlanta alone for that weekend, with literally about like 85% of the people that go there have a fursona, and they hang out in VRChat alone outside of Ferality. And then talking with their Rave Director there too, he was saying that like 90% of the DJs that were performing at the venue were from VRChat. And that blows my mind. So kind of forecasting the way that MomoCon has been kind of bringing in VTubers, and the VTuber scene is starting to change, and it's starting to, like, not really for the worst or for the better, but we're also kind of talking about the future of the convention scene. Where do you see like DJs from VRChat starting to grow into the convention circuit?
I don't say I'd like to see it. I mean, that's one of the things I was trying to do originally. How do I link these things together? But the problem was always understanding the tech, because a lot of the higher ups for every convention, there's so much stuff going on, and they got to spin, and they can't learn new technology. So they might be understanding there are VTubers, because VTubers essentially spawn because of here. I mean, Centrea's from here, Melody is from here. I think some of the other ones, like the really big names, also are, at least at one point or another. If they weren't before, they are now. But it's figuring the details and then getting people to understand the tech that they would need to do everything to pull that off. And that's where that limit I think is going to be, to where having the support, having the understanding, and doing everything to make it work. Especially now, it is much more possible. I mean, shoot, people are facial tracking in here, and you can see people's eyes and do moves in their face and stuff, and it's insane. So as more and more tech comes out and more people lean toward it, and even some conventions are making their own VTubers anyway, either 2D or 3D. A 2D DJ would be, I don't know, I don't think would work. But being 3D, like in here, for example, makes much more sense, because you can see people do everything. I mean, I know some pole dancers that will take the index controllers and tie the controllers to the back of their hands so they have full movement, still has a hand tracking. Because otherwise, I mean, I might be able to do it here, but this thing in the middle of my hand, I'm going to smack something. It'll try to screw it to music.
Well, I mean, more like implication for like the rave scene too. One of the things that FWA did this year that was interesting, because they've been kind of trying to work it out and trying to figure it out. There is a program called Resolume that a lot of people in VRChat start to use. It's a VJ software that kind of works hand in hand with the tune, depending on what you want to perform. And this year they got to have a DJ performing live on the stage, but all their visuals were VRChat dancey visuals. And so outside of that, even comparable to a kind of a virtual mirror kind of scenario, and I know this year at MomoCon you guys got CO2 for the first time, which was really, really neat to see.
Oh, second time.
Yeah, and being able to implement that too alone, there's not too many conventions do that, and it's very, very cool, because I think a lot of people love the CO2, but obviously got to regulate that. But even moving forward with that, and even with the knowledge of VRChat Raves that you're starting to kind of cultivate, what do you want to see from MomoCon as far as like the visuals are concerned? Are we going to start? Do you think that somewhere down the line we will be able to start seeing some sort of a VTuber dancey visual for the future?
It will depend. the dancing stuff will depend on the depending on first I'd like to do a virtual mirror, just or so people can be there, and the question is who's got to guard it, and we had to have somebody be moderator, like the same thing you saw with MagFest, because the moderator was right there on the left if you're staring through the virtual mirror. So you got to find someone to do that. I'm up for anything, honestly. As long as if they're DJing, as long as I've got at least a solid, if they answer all the questions so that the tech and the co-chairs are comfortable enough with doing this stuff, I'm fully game. Like I'm not the stop point. It's just the devil for everything is always in the details, because we got to get everything ironed out.
Mm-hmm.
Because we only get one shot. If something breaks, or like for example, if let's say they're out of the country or they're somewhere else, or just somewhere else, period, you need a decent internet connection or a good internet connection to pull the stuff off. And sadly, despite everything else going on in America, internet is still not classified as a utility. We use it every day, especially all of us in here, but it's not a utility to where you need it to to run a home. And that's, I think, the thing that's going to limit us on that one compared to what I see. Because we've one of the people who was joined off of me during your raves, she's in Austria. She's running the internet for VRChat on her phone, and she has better ping than all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how? What are we doing wrong? It's Austria. The Japanese also have their own insane setup for their own digital stuff. It's embracing the tech and going and getting that support. Now, thankfully, from talking to Neon Haven, and meeting some of the people there, the internet part, at least for that building, has been kind of fixed, because beforehand there was always issues with having signal because you're under a whole lot of concrete and a very old building. But I think they finally put enough repeaters in where people have signal, so that's great. I don't know if the coachers did that or the building people did that. I don't know which. I'm just glad it's getting fixed, because we have next year the World Cup up here in Atlanta. So yeah, which from talking to the coachers, that shouldn't affect us for doing the convention next year, but you'll see some stuff probably change and get built out around here. I think it's already happening. I have not been down, and I won't be down in Atlanta until Dragon Con, but for Atlanta proper until Dragon Con. But I'll be on the other side of the Centennial Olympic Park for that one.
You start getting
I'm all for it. It's just tech.
You start getting some more of those. What they got, the demon soccer anime, whatever it is. They see them. I forgot what their names are.
Captain Tsubasa?
Probably. I know that they travel in packs, and they wear like the referee shirts, and they got their little horns and a little soccer ball or something. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's from the anime. Maybe from Blue Lock. A lot of people like it. I have not watched it. The sports anime, I know a lot of people that like it. It's just not my thing.
Every time I try to find them and talk to them, I never see them. So like by the time I see them, I'm just like, well, should probably talk to them, and then they disappear, and I'm like, okay, great, fantastic. But anyway, we're running out of time here on VRCDJLIVE, of course, and we're sitting here with the Rave Director, WhiteMage, who also frequents VRChat a lot. That's basically it's just a lot.
I'm not that bad. I usually like 3 to 1 to 4 times a week, maybe. It depends what's going on.
Yeah, but we enjoy being in here. That's not a problem. We just love to be in here. That's all.
Well, yeah. Plus, keeps you warm in the afternoons, definitely when it's cold. These headsets are hot.
Yeah, no joke, especially now around this time. But before we get on out of here, I usually like to ask our guests some rapid fire questions and some hopefully get some answers. It's kind of gonna throw them left and right, and get your attention on it. See if we can get you some answers on this. But before we get on, I always say before we get on out of here, out of all the different things that we've talked about on the show regarding like your role through MomoCon or like in VRChat and the experiences that you've experienced in here, what do you think is a word of advice that you can offer maybe just the DJs in here, maybe people that want to either be a part of your staff or maybe even want to go to MomoCon for the first time? What is a good word of advice that you can give to everybody today?
Okay, if you want to go to MomoCon, buy your tickets now, because any convention, the sooner you buy a ticket, the better it's going to be. I don't know when the room situation comes up. Be careful with what's the term? Be careful with Airbnbs because some people will do stuff that's sketchy. I can't help that one. None of us can help that because it's private businesses doing or private entities doing stuff with their own property, which we can't help. We only just warn people. For the DJs, I would say keep going, keep pushing, diversify yourself. Don't just focus on one piece of social media. Put it everywhere. Like I hate Twitter. I don't use Twitter, but I understand for everyone who has a product or business of any kind of sort has to have a Twitter in order to function. But I can't find 20 minutes of video of you DJing on Twitter. I can't find it on Instagram. I gotta go YouTube. So provided you're not, if you can get around the insanity or some video thing, there's other stuff besides YouTube. You can put videos of stuff up. I'm forgetting all the names, but those systems have not gone away. I would say put that stuff up there, put it to your name, and make it easy to find. And that's part of the thing because one of the things I definitely go to, and for just listening to my normal daily stuff, is I'll go to the BBC Radio 1 and all those drum and bass shows. I listen to that. I listen to the Boiler Room. Tomorrowland videos have been popping up. I haven't gone through them yet. Those are dope. I mean,
and they're all over the place too because they just had Tomorrowland as well.
Yeah, that's sadly that fire. I didn't know about that until last week.
Yeah, but they took care of that. They put the stage there. They had it as a backdrop.
Yeah, no, I mean, no. What they did is a great thing. But as a guy who's been on that side of, oh God, like I never want to see that happen.
Sure.
I've had a speaker catch fire at one rave, but that was not MomoCon. That was at Anime Week in Atlanta, and we had to run.
Yeah, no.
We solved the problem, but we didn't stop the rave. But we definitely had to turn the speaker off and spray it.
You don't realize how stinky burning technology can smell after, especially burning plastic. That's for sure. What are a couple of musical artists that you are currently listening to that we get to know?
My main focus is probably Lodestar. Has always been one of my go-tos. Danny Bird has always. I don't think he's made anything recently, but it's been my main focus. Really Monster Cat, which I know is more the label, but it's everyone from in there combined with London Electricity, and only it's just finding just new things. I can't say the name right, but it's like ES8 Exexes, I think it is. That person and Alex Cade, they've been doing a lot of remixes, both anime based and non-anime based. And I recently found out that I know I'm saying it wrong, but I've never heard his name actually said. Some of my favorite remixes are from that guy from like 5 years ago. I was like, oh, this dude. So, and of course, Pegboard Nerds has always been one of my favorites. VGR, I listen to constantly. Game Chops, I still listen to his stuff from DJ Cutman because the songs at their own, I think some of them sound absolutely awesome. Excision has his remix of Mega Man while being dubstep is no one uses it, and it's a shame. That's one of those things where no one uses really, really unique sounding stuff, but still scratches that itch of being anime, video game, cartoon, movie, whatever. It's it's like we said before, people are going to pull from the easy stuff, find the hard stuff to get your hands on. Like somebody found a Star Fox remix that was dubstep based. I'm like, this is cool as hell. And at the point where I actually watched him. I spent the entire day to find that track, and I found that track, and I have it in my car.
Just in case you want to scratch that itch. Like I'm glad that you said London Electricity too, because we missed out on them. They played Liquidity in Amsterdam last weekend, and I was uber pissed because like it was my birthday weekend, and I could have seen them, and they would have been great.
Yeah, no, London's always been classic. I mean, this sound has changed so much. Plus, what is his label called? I'm forgetting the name of his label.
I don't remember off the top of my head either. So,
shoot. His label, Ram Records, and there's just so much. I just keep scrolling through and seeing what I can find on YouTube. And like, oh, this sounds great. This is awesome, and just what I pull from there. Which I don't like Spotify because the robot's great and all. But I don't need a robot to tell me the music I enjoy because it's not going to get it right. And the music that I enjoy is not on there in the first place. Like, unless someone tells me that the entire soundtrack for Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future are on there, no.
Yeah.
And those all those tracks are still in my car.
That's super helpful whenever you need them. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
who are the top 3 DJs in VR chat that we get to see that you like?
Oh geez. Oh. Honestly, I think you got me with that one. I mean, you're high up there. Don't get me wrong. But I think you got me on that one. I'm trying to think. Sadly, because of this year and the madness with my life right now, uh, I have not had a chance to really dig into people who are doing stuff this year, and that's not on the entire community. That's just I have to adult.
Sure.
Like for like one of my favorite things is I put my parents in the headset because they kept going, "WhiteMage, you're alone. Are you okay?" I'm like, "Come here and put the thing on and meet my people." And they did, and they're like, "All right, we're never going to bug you again." I'm like, "Thank you. I'm with people. It's okay."
So the way that this should be operating, it's like it's not a matter of who you enjoy; it's a matter of who will get to know you better. That way, they can plant the bug in to be like, "Hey, I heard that you do stuff with MomoCon. I'm interested. This is what I do. This is your opportunity to be able to do that."
Right. Oh, I did think of one name, and it's because of whoever built it. I forget the name sadly, but somebody built the Dragon Con world in here from the first level, which from the Marriott. Which if you've been to Fairway Atlanta, you know that level.
Sure.
They have 10XX playing. I listened to that full set. This set is dope, but again, drum and bass set like that. I know he's in here somewhere occasionally. That's I would like to get him if possible. I know a lot of people, especially DJU, wants me to get Cyril back, and I'm open to it. But I know Cyril's also in here because Cyril's also the reason why I have hip arthritis.
Right.
Because I shook my butt on stage so hard that I broke myself.
Well, it also works.
10XX
just has a new manager now too, so like I'm sure
it
that
does.
would be a much more easier process. You also said Lumi too, so Lumi could be one of your DJs.
Lumi's always been on my list. So sadly, the reason why the Lumi part fell out is because COVID happened before. Because right when I was going to make the solid pitch to see if I get it to happen, and then the world ended. So I was like, "Crud, what do we do?"
Sure.
Because all the conventions stopped, everything stopped, and then when we kicked back off, it was testing 3 different ideas that we had at the same time for that rave. So, and we were teamed up with Senpai Squad, so there was no way to get anybody else in there except what we had in the first place.
Right. Unless you have to get a hold of Senpai Squad, which they seem a little picky, but that's totally okay. Before we get on out of here, where can we find you on social media, and where can we find MomoCon on social media?
Well, MomoCon has their stuff. You type in MomoCon, you will find everything there. Me, I am more private on social media. And that's just more of just to keep my own sanity. But I'm in your Discord server. So just don't randomly DM me. You can literally talk to me on there in general. It's fine, and just ask questions, and I can pull it through from there. But this is me being an old man on this one. I'm more focused on Discord than anything else. So, but it's also so I don't get into the madness that most social media stuff has now, like VShojo and everything else going on. And I mean, the world's been chaos the past 7 months. At least for us Americans, but that's a different discussion.
So I would think that like the best way of like reaching out to you would be, I mean, obviously people could join my personal Discord server, but I would assume that there would be other ways through like MomoCon's contact us page that you could like send a letter or send an email or something.
I believe it's info@momocon.com. We'll take any questions, and they should be able to forward me anything. I'm also in the MomoCon main Discord as a BrotherWhiteMage. You can just add me there and start asking questions. I mean, it's just give me 24 hours because I might be asleep at work, driving to Florida to make sure my parents are okay, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just if you don't hear from me 24 hours, that's when you need to be concerned.
And then other than that, people just need to keep posting stuff on social media and YouTube. Obviously, the more stuff that you post with VRChat stuff on YouTube, you could potentially get the interest of a Rave Director at MomoCon.
Exactly, because I need length. I don't need a vertical slice like we're at E3. I need like a meal to dig through.
Right.
Like give me like a Denny. I'm not going to get Denny. It's like give me a steak and shake. Give me some time to eat this food.
Well, Brother WhiteMage, thank you for coming by and hanging with us and sharing your knowledge of the rave scene for conventions.
No problem, Chief. Good to have you.
Yeah, and of course, we'll probably have him back on once we have another MomoCon coming up, and there's still plenty of things to talk about within the conventions. The convention circuit, especially for people that are in here in VRChat looking to DJ a lot more. So thank you all for coming by for a wonderful show here on VRCDJ Live. But of course, while the month is finally over, we are still continuing on into August, which I would love to showcase for you right now. Drum roll, please. Look at that! We've got a whole, well, not a whole lineup, but a smaller lineup for us for August coming up in VRC DJ Live. Coming up next week, we're going to be sitting down with Wake of Googie Records, talking to them about all of the different instances that they've been putting together, all the worlds that they've been putting together in VRChat, as well as their ultra cool, sick, tubular, whatever you want to call it, rad visual applications for a lot of their scene. So being able to talk with Googie Records about what they've got coming up very shortly is going to be amazing. Also too, definitely a DJ on the rise here in VRChat. It's been kind of doing everything to kind of raise their popularity and kind of get well known in the VRChat scene. Dolce Arma is going to be joining us on VRCDJ Live the following week. And I've known that guy for quite some time, and being able to see him definitely grow in our community is going to be a very fun topic, and seeing where he wants to head in the future. So that's going to be very fun. We do have the following week off because I am moving. So everything's going to be packed up. But following that, we are actually going to be doing a once in a lifetime live VRC DJ Live remote live in Amsterdam. We're actually, I'm going to be performing at Four Seasons in Amsterdam towards the end of August, and this will be our opportunity to be able to sit in front of a webcam, not looking like this, and talking with your favorite DJs from VRChat that don't look like this. They look like regular people. So that's going to be a very, well, we'll probably be hanging out about 4 hours or so, give or take. Or I think it was like 3 hours, something like that. And we're going to be talking with everybody who's performing at Four Seasons this year. You could check the full lineup up at fourseasons.dance on your web browser. So lots of very fun things happening for August. Of course, thank you to everybody for submitting all of your applications for coming on the show and being a guest on the show. You can find more information on that if you're a DJ or a club owner, or if you want to join our staff. You can find that down in the bio here on Twitch. And if you're watching the replay and some of the highlights up on YouTube, you can also find that information by using Linktree.com/VRCDJ Live. We have all the information for you up there. Lots of housekeeping, lots of stuff happening here on the show. Of course, we're trying to get everything ready for you guys for the holiday season and the end of the year. So please stay patient with us, and thank you all for your attention. And of course, for Brother WhiteMage of MomoCon and the VRC DJ Live staff, I'm Rob Roman. Thank you so much for coming by for this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.